Hello and happy May 1st. Today is International Workers' Day, at least in most of the world, with the exception of the US. And Labor Day actually celebrates the rights of workers, their fight against the pretty oppressive capitalist working class. And it is specifically an event that happened in May of 1886, known as the Chicago Haymarket Revolt, that is being commemorated. In this revolt, which was pretty much for a very reasonable thing we take for granted in most of the wealthy world, namely for 8-hour workdays, protesters clashed with the police. Some unknown person threw dynamite at the police, and in the resulting chaos and gunfire, about a dozen people were killed on both sides. This legacy of our ancestors who fought for better working conditions is why in most of the world, especially here in Europe, where I live, we get to enjoy decent and fair working conditions, at least for the most part. Now, fast forward 140 years to 2026, and the situation is really very, very different. I mean, for one, when you consider the relationship between the rich and the poor, the pay gap between CEOs and their workers has grown to never before rates. Like there's this study that finds that it's, I think, over 280 times more that a CEO makes compared to a worker, the lowest paid worker in the factory. This is a report from the, I believe, Economic Policy Institute, and this really went up so much. I mean, it was 60 just 35 years ago, and now we're at 281. So massive difference. Compared to the past, most of the wealth is concentrated like it has never before been, with the top six wealthiest people having net worth in excess or close to from 190 billion to 800 billion, 840 something billion for Elon Musk. And these are all people who've made their money in tech, so-called tech bros. These are, so wealthy that their net worth exceeds a lot of countries, most countries, in fact. To give you an example, besides Elon Musk, who's an exception at his 840 something, I mean, I can't even imagine such a number. Most people, like the Google founders, this is my former employer, they make 250, they have 250 billion in net assets, which actually according to international statistics, is more than the GDP of Greece from 2025, which was at 209 or 8 billion. So this is just unprecedented. I mean, the concentration of wealth is probably, I can't even imagine it. I mean, it's difficult to conceive of that much money and how it's distributed. But moreover, I agree with Yanis Varoufakis' assessment. This is the former Prime Minister of Greece during the financial crisis of 2004. And he, somewhat controversially, but I don't think controversially at all, in fact, says that we now live in a post-capitalist era. He describes the situation now as being technofeudal, and basically says that for most people, we live and work and exist as cloud serfs, and our data is used to power the plantations of these cloud capitalists, of the cloud tech billionaire class. And it's really difficult to argue, especially in light of AI training, which is something that I've discussed on this channel before, given that I also am an AI engineer and have worked on building these systems myself, although with ethically sourced data. And it's just quite astonishing. I mean, if this is the case, right? I mean, we're working for free, generating this data. There was a fun example, I guess fun if you could call it that, of Pokemon Go, which was ostensibly just a game, and then it turned out it was used to collect data and train AI. So there's the saying, right, that if it's free, you're the product, and I think that this is very much the case, unfortunately. So I just wanted to share my perspective on this as someone who's kind of been or is actually between both worlds, right? I've experienced both ends of this. On one hand, as I've mentioned, I'm an ex-Google engineer. I've worked there for 10 years. I made really good money, especially as I grew through the corporate ladder. But more importantly, I'm originally from Romania, from Eastern Europe, and I grew up in a pretty poor family. I mean, we were solidly middle class. We always had food on the table, but it was sort of that level of middle class where we would not be able to afford traveling abroad, getting designer clothes or anything like that. And it was definitely something that I noticed that my peers did. And I only got to travel abroad for the first time as a teenager. And in fact, when I got to work at Google for the first time, being an intern during university, we didn't have money for the plane ticket, and we had to just get a loan because I couldn't otherwise. And even then, after getting the money and then becoming successful at Google, I always had a pretty tight grip on it or eye on it. I've always been kind of concerned about it because there were just always expenses that I needed to deal with in my life. As an only child, I needed to take care of my aging parents, pay for their treatment as they had chronic illnesses, all the way up to their passing in these last couple of years. And I had to bail them out repeatedly because they were not very good with managing money. And Switzerland, although I made a lot of money, I mean, it's also a very expensive place to live. And I did make enough, thankfully, to become independent, have this dream, of freedom happen. And I'm very, very privileged at the moment to be able to spend time doing this kind of work, speaking on issues like this, building up my company, studying psychology, which has always been my dream. And I have very varied experience with money myself. I mean, I used to be an employee at one of the biggest tech companies in the world that minted the second and third richest man in the world. I'm a business owner myself of a company that I funded through my own money, through my savings. And as I hired freelancers, other people to work for me, we worked on projects. We did both great work, as well as I got screwed by people who were dishonest that I couldn't check and I was too trusting. I also needed to learn how to invest. And I guess as any investor knows, you win some and you lose some. And I've definitely lost my share as well. And I've been a freelancer. I know what it's like to do free work, to try and pitch a project. And as a founder, I've also experienced, VCs trying to, take advantage of you in various situations, notably with free expertise and consulting that they then, frame as some sort of like, we got you a dinner, so, tell us this stuff. And of course, I mean, I am a student still. I pay the fees for my studies, and just generally living in 2026, everything is getting more and more expensive. So with that, I mean, given all of this experience that I've had, I thought, I could probably speak on money and the relationship I've developed with money, how I think about it, both from the perspective of someone who is fairly well off, who has a business, who tries to, who also has, paid people, right, for the work that they've been doing, how I see that in terms of ethics and all of that, and try to get in the mind of the super rich and wealthy. And also from the perspective of someone who is, more on the outside, who has been a worker, who has had to save, who has had to cut costs, who, had to eat a bit more more beans maybe than I would have liked, at least in my mind, because of this whole scarcity that I was going through. And I thought that the best way to do it, given the topic of my channel, my interest in symbolic work and tarot, is actually to do a tarot reading. And I get to show you my style of reading, which is not really about fortune telling, but it's just more about exploring the topic. And I would like to actually start with the symbol of a pentacle, of a pentagram, I should say. The pentacle is one of the 4 elements in tarot. Like there are 4 suits of cards, like the pentacles are one of them. Pentacles stand for material wealth, money, resources, and in classic representations, they feature this this 5-pointed star. And the inverted version of that is this, popularly known as the satanic pentagram. And I would like to take 10 cards, draw this geometry, and explain what that is about. And so with that, I'll just switch over to another angle, another shot where you can see the table as I lay out the geometry and explain how tarot works. Okay, so here we are in the other view, and I think that to best illustrate the point and the vastly different perspectives here, we're going to use 2 tarot sets that both are made by my company. One of which that I started with is this Qybala Utopia Tarot. This features a universe in which humanity lives at peace with nature and technology. So here AI is represented as having a very positive influence. It's helping us as part of the universal consciousness. This would be the world that probably most corresponds to the tech billionaire kind of utopia in an optimistic way where it actually gets to happen. So this is the techno in Technofeudal. And then the other set is this Qybala Agnostic Tarot, and this is basically a recoloring of the very classic Rider-Waite set. I just added a couple of extra cards to match the Qybala system. This if you know tarot, you'll know about it. And here, this matches the feudal in Technofeudal. And I think these perspectives will really help us kind of visualize what I'm talking about here. So maybe to just start with the symbolism of the pentagram. So I'll take the first card here, which is the Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace of Pentacles is about starting new projects, ventures. It's about new money opportunities coming in. That's the classic tarot meaning. And you see that there's this hand that brings in the money, the coin. So this is the pentacle itself, right? This coin with the 5-pointed star. Now, in Western esoteric traditions, the 5-pointed star, this stands for the 5 elements, where the classic Western elements, they're earth, air, water, and fire. And there's the 5th one, which is spirit, or sometimes ether. And while the exact arrangement of which point of the star corresponds to earth or water or fire or whatever is different depending on whatever interpretation you choose, what is not disputed is whether the pentacle is pointed upright, like here, where the spirit goes upwards, so it goes towards the heavens, towards the divine, or if the pentacle is inverted like this, in which case the pentacle and the spirit points down to earth. And this inverted pentacle is often associated with the symbol of Satan, which indeed you can see here in this representation of the devil in this Gnostic set. So the devil here, we've drawn him. It's a slight modification actually. It's the demiurge, and this is the essentially prisoner of the false matrix, if you will, or the archon that imprisons us, that created the world in the Gnostic tradition. And here the pentagram is inverted on his forehead, you see. So this is the sort of Gnostic / classic perspective on this symbol. And in particular, if you contrast it or compare it with the utopian version, this is the utopian Ace of Pentacles. So the Ace of Pentacles here, the money, the coin, is brought with an AI hand. So this AI hand represents the promise of technology and the help that it will bring us. And in fact, here the coin is not even a pentagram. It's actually a symbol of the flower of life, which is the Qybala logo. And so this is sort of a post-scarcity kind of world that, you know, we'd ideally like to inhabit. This reflects the promise that has been made about AI. And, you know, it's not quite there yet, to put it mildly. And but on the other hand, also in this set, we still have the inverted pentagram in the context of the Devil card. Here, as I put it, there's a cyber pentacle that the Devil is standing on. The Devil here is a Baphomet-like figure symbolizing initiation, and he has actually an upright pentagram on his forehead, symbolizing the fact that the Devil, rather than being evil, he is the force of opposition, the challenger that helps us grow, initiate, and break free of the constraints of the mortal realm. So we're here in this place, but you know, through breaking free, or through the challenges that we are faced, we can break free as they break us apart and like help us rebuild ourselves in a different way. Nevertheless, he is standing also on this pentagram. And here the pentagram is actually, I call it the cyber pentacle, because it's a symbol of money, which here is very tentacular, very robotic, but in the sense that this is a type of AI that consumes more. Like, it has a little eye. There's this saying that money is the eye of the devil, at least in Romanian, and people actually, that not only do they not fear, but they're actively grasping towards it. So this is that relationship to money. So they actually want to be attached to it and, you know, get more of it. Furthermore, symbolically here, in this Devil, it's an association between, this Devil is standing between the principle of Saturn in Capricorn, which is associated with reality in the Qybala system, and this sphere of Chiron in Virgo, which is the sphere of form, of perfection, but also of having been wounded, because that's sort of the nature of our existence here. Like, life is suffering after all. So this is how these two sets relate to these symbols of the Ace of Pentacles and the Devil. But now I think that for our purposes, you know, given that we want to explore the relationship between rich and poor, between haves and have-nots, I think that the two key cards that we should consider here are the Five of Pentacles. This one speaks of lack, of exclusion in the tarot. These are these two people that are going through the storm outside of this palace. Could be a church, could be whatever. And they're definitely on the outside. They're not getting in. They're not in the warmth. They're just traveling barefoot through the snow. And I think this is a great metaphor for the experience that people are having, you know, in today's economy. So it's, you know, it's pretty rough out there. On the other side, you know, in the wealthy side, you know, we actually have here the Ten of Pentacles. So I'm showing you the utopian Ten of Pentacles because this is this futuristic, you know, prosperous, amazing, you know, post-money, whatever state. Here you see that symbol again, the Chiron in Virgo, the connect, you know, reflected in the Devil card. So this is sort of the paradise, the earthly paradise that represents legacy. It represents wealth. It represents generational wealth. So this is the kind of wealth that the tech billionaires all have. And I just wanted to say that if you, you know, if we're going to compare them also, like, you know, there's the Ten of Pentacles here in the classic set. So you can see that the artwork is actually quite similar. We mirror the composition of the card, as well as the Five of Pentacles. But the one difference, though, here is that in this Five of Pentacles, the AI is actually encouraging or trying to support people through this cold. And even as bad as it is in this Utopia set, they're not actually explicitly excluded from anything. They're just traveling through this, you know, temporary cold, with the AI trying to console them and support them. So it's not as bad as here, right, in the classic Rider-Waite set. But, you know, in terms of the wealthy, in terms of the Ten of Pentacles, you know, things haven't really much changed. I mean, you know, you replace the medieval castle with the whatever luxury villa somewhere in Hawaii, and, you know, it's basically the same. So the 5 and the 10, this being two fives, This is a really interesting symbol, right? Like the 5 repeats again. So you know, from a numerological perspective, if you will, that sort of symbolism is very fitting. And here, actually, I would like to also mention that May 1st is itself has a 5 in it, May being the 5th month. And, you know, basically start the reading now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put a 5 franc coin here, because, you know, we figured we might as well just include some actual money here. And, you know, we have that sort of as the focus. So, you know, we can do that. But yeah, I would just also like to mention, maybe, I think this is probably an important point about where I stand on the whole topic of money, which is that I've added several new cards in the Qybala system. So on one hand, there's zeros. So there's zeros and there's 11. So rather than going from 1 to 10, here we go from 0 to 11. And I just want to take a minute before actually doing the reading proper to just go over why I added the zeros and 11s, besides being a programmer at heart and feeling that, of course, you need to start at 0. So in my mind, in the Qybala system, zeros are about the metaphysical principle of source, of the divine, of spirit. And so in the suit of Pentacles, what that actually means is that money, here in the 0 of Pentacles, in the Utopia set, money is the sun. Money is the solar energy, the abundance of light that is, for, you know, all practical purposes for us humans, essentially infinite. It's about ecosystems. It's about the transition, the change, the ongoing dynamic balance between everything. So in this utopian world, there's abundance because we know how to harness the resources of nature, and it gives us wealth. In this set, in the Gnostic set, like the 0 of Pentacles here, is represented by a human hand with its 5 fingers. And here the idea is that it is through our own divine creative ability that we can produce wealth. It's our, you know, ability to go out there and create things that is the source of all of that abundance. So this is the divine within, in that case, right? Now, in terms of the 11s, what the 11s represent in Qybala is that they are about initiation. Their initiation, or they may be something that sort of breaks through the typical cycle of ace to 10, which you normally see in tarot. And here specifically, the 11s, the 11 of Pentacles, I wanted this to be a lesson about the relationship we have with money. And honestly, this is something that I've personally reflected quite a bit on. First, here in the 11 of Pentacles, there's a question about money and time. As you know, time is money. And from that perspective, this character is also a little bit older as she's stepping through this portal. And she's gone through a lot of transformation. She's learned a lot of lessons. And so her wealth is not just in terms of material wealth, although she is also wealthier, but it's also about what she's learned along the way, and also acknowledging the fact that, you know, not everything pans out. Like, we have mistakes, we make mistakes, and some of these flowers are a bit wilted and crushed because of that reason. Like, they just, you know, they represent things that didn't quite pan out the way we hoped. Now, in the Gnostic set, in this version, the 11 of Pentacles is a lot more dramatic. So this is that, you know, castle that we had seen before that is now on the other side of this massive fire. Like, there's this cliff or earthquake that happened that sort of tore us apart. Our character is now leaving away from it, like his back facing this castle and the legacy and the solidity that he experienced. And at the end of the day, he's just left with one single pentacle going into the dark night, going by himself. So it is this idea that there are things that happen that in life, you know, they can destabilize you no matter what. They take away all of your wealth. And these 5 pentacles, they burn in smoke here on the other side. They're unreachable beyond this fire. And these other 5 pentacles on the bottom, this is pretty much where the character is. And this is what he's walking through. And these are the 5 pentacles we've seen before: the material hardship, the exclusion. But at least our character has 1 pentacle for him. Like, this refers to the Page of Pentacles, another tarot card, you know, being someone at the beginning of new projects. So this is just to say that in my view, it's really not about just accumulating money, but it's about how we relate to money. What does it let us do? And so I think it's just, more than, okay, let's hoard as much as possible and compare our wealth together. That's not, I think, the point. Okay, so now, having said all of that, I'm going to go and read the cards and actually assemble a piece of geometry here. So first we're going to start at the inside with the 5 cards that represent the inverted pentacle of the billionaires, of the wealthy, of those who, clearly spiritually at the moment are not really looking out for our highest good. And on the outside, I'm going to look at more, what is happening with more your day-to-day person. And yeah, let me first check my notes on each position. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is just shuffle the cards really, really well. This here being the Utopia set, and the other one being the Gnostic set. And I mean, I've shuffled them a lot before, but I just thought I'd show you guys a little bit of the shuffling to just sort of reset a bit until we get to the fun part. And now the same for the Gnostic set. It's, I think, important for you to be convinced that I really shuffled them. I did not, prepare some magic trick here to have a message. It's just an interpretation of the cards. And here what I'm going to do is that I have 5 points that I'm going to address that represent the 5 elements of the pentagram. So we're going to go from the spirit first and kind of approach it as a question of polarity. So I'm actually going to just pull these 5 cards, arrange them in the inner pentagram here. So this is going to be the spirit here. And we're going to just do, I don't know, like clockwise. So this is going to be the wands, the fire. This is going to be the swords, the air. This is going to be the money, the earth, and this is going to be the emotions, so the water. So this would be the capitalist inner pentagram, and just for the sake of framing this shot, I'm just going to make them really kind of tight together. And now I'm going to do the same here. So for the worker's dignity, I'm going to put it here on top. And then I'm going to go this way, so in a similar kind of vein. And now I have the 5 cards here, and we're ready to check them out, sort of as contrasting pairs. I think it's more interesting as contrasting pairs. So this is the classic part of a reading. These would be spreads. This is a spread with 10 cards, so each of them has a specific meaning. What makes this one special is that I'm actually going to interpret them in pairs. So first, we're going to look at this one, the capitalist's myth versus the worker's dignity. Given that this is the general theme of the conflict, I feel like it's a great place to start. It's so funny how this came up. So I think first, looking at these here, the capitalist myth is like a 9 of cups reversed. The capitalist myth is really about very solid self-fulfilling, self-directedness, like a self-confidence, like this sort of feeling that they are fundamentally in the right, that they're better. Like this card of the 9 of cups goes back to the message of how do you feel about yourself. So in this case, like people who are very, very successful in this world, they don't think that that's because of systemic issues. They think it's just because they are naturally superior. They're smarter, they're better, they're more talented. Like they justify this through meritocracy, which of course, I mean, I'm not going to argue against the importance of hard work and that meritocracy, but I think the key point here in the capitalist myth, and I think there's a lot of the situation with founders, is that you too can make it, like if only you apply yourself, which, I mean, there's a lot of hurdles for that. It's not quite true. And for the workers, I mean, the 11 of Pentacles is their dignity. That I think it's more the lack of dignity, and I think that for a lot of people in the West especially, they have seen this deindustrialization happen. I could see this 11 of Pentacles meaning exactly that. Like there has been this wave of systemically moving jobs away from Europe, from the US, on, you know, towards Asia. And of course, people there also deserve very decent lives and a chance of at success. But the thing is that the developments that have occurred have mainly been, okay, how can we offshore, how can we get things for cheap? And this has resulted in a massive expropriation and a massive reduction of wealth, to the point where, I mean, the middle class is, you know, more or less gone, you know, increasingly. And people are left excluded on the outside with these Five of Pentacles. They're just left barely hanging on, barely looking at their, you know, one pentacle, trying to make sense out of that, which is pretty much why, like, there's a lot of these gambling places, and unfortunately a lot of addiction, a lot of social ills are because of that reason. So it's very interesting how this opposition came through. Now the next question is going to be about the capitalists' hunger versus the workers' refusal. So it's the element of fire. And this just boils down to the question of, okay, you know, that's what the riot was about. Like, these people who had all this money, they wanted so much money that they couldn't even agree to have an 8-hour workday. That to them seemed so unreasonable. So here we have the Queen of Swords for the capitalist hunger. And this is just very cold, very calculating, very logical type of energy, just very judgmental, like, again, reinforcing this point of the Nine of Cups, that it's just about, you know, someone who is looking at this and, you know, judging someone's worth and saying, yeah, like, that's not it, like, it's not enough. And then here the Knight of Cups, you know, for workers, it's just about, okay, they're trying to go on their quest to be happy, to be fulfilled. Like, they're just trying to live their lives, to go and, you know, make it so that they also have a shot at finding meaning in life, at, you know, being fulfilled, like going on their quest for the Grail, if you will. Like, they're willing to take action, they're willing to put their heart out there. But yeah, like, they need to just do a lot of legwork here with the Knight of Cups, and given the horse. And I mean, to some extent, I'm not even sure if they're also clearly not speaking the same language, because I think here the workers' refusal, I mean, with this Knight of Cups, could just be that they are turning their back on the capitalist system, the techno-feudal system, and they're just saying, you know what, fuck it, we're gonna just lie down, as we see in China, or we're gonna not comply with this whole crazy demand. We're just gonna go and live on a farmstead, you know, do things that fulfill our own heart, and just sort of say no. And yeah, these two characters, I mean, these cards, like, their backs are facing each other, so they're not really really very much in a dialogue at this point at all. And that's kind of what I'm definitely seeing with society these days. Now, in terms of the next card here, I think that what powers this, right? Like, the swords aspect, you know, going to the Queen of Swords, this is about the logic of the system, right? Like, the intellectual motivation here, like, you know, going back to that point around meritocracy, like, you know, or this is the thing that gives us the most wealth, or whatever you want. So this is going to be the capitalist ideology versus the workers' shared story. And here we have another queen, we have the Queen of Wands. This is about exceptionalism. This is, you know, this system is the, you know, most unique thing that we've ever been able to do. I mean, this is just exceptional, like, it can be, or even this techno-feudalism, like, you know, it's about us as humans. We're so exceptional, we're so amazing. We are not like every other creature or living thing on this planet. And this is why we get to, you know, want to go to Mars and colonize this and do that, or do all these things, as if we are just not part of the broader ecosystem. And it's really a question to what extent this is something most people want, or most people want the AI. Like, no, this is our divine mission for some of these people, to just get wealthier and get more, you know, be the most special ever. Like, that's sort of the ideology looks like here. And it also seems like one of the ways to be successful is you just need to go out there and, you know, become better known. You need to just speak up, like, be, you know, maybe a bit eccentric, and just yeah, it's an attention economy. So that's where we are. On the workers shared story, I see here the star. So this is a card that speaks to hope. In the tarot, given that it's a major arcana and it comes after the tower, after collapse, you see nothing is left for this woman. I mean, she's at this point pretty much just naked, very much different to the Queen of Wands. Like here for the workers, we just have literally a naked woman that is still hopeful. Why is she hopeful? Because she's pouring her water, her hope, same hope and water as this Knight of Cups. She's pouring that to its source, to the divine, and also on the soil to water it, and not giving up. She is connected to this divine through this major star here. And given that there are these 7 stars around it, which in traditional interpretation stand for the 7 classical planets of astrology, I think that a lot of people are coping here with a lot of spiritual methods. So I can see how, faith is going to get into a resurgence. Any kind of practice like that, even tarot for that matter, the divinatory aspects of it. But yeah, these people are left with nothing, and they need to, desperately do something to still survive. So that's pretty much the situation there. The next card here is going to talk about, this next opposition is going to talk about the the hoarded earth aspect. So this is just the wealth itself. What is it? What do they want to do with all this money at the end of the day? What is that about it? Versus the, actual material demands of the workers to be able to live their life. I mean, they also need to survive. So what is that about? So in that sense, what are they doing with the resources? Oh my God, another queen. I can't make this up. There's the Queen of Pentacles, and she came out reversed. So I'm gonna I didn't shuffle them with reversals. That's another way of interpreting them. But in this case, Queen of Pentacles, this is someone who should be a steward of material resources. This is someone who, is caring for the animals here in her kingdom. She's, tending to this ram that's coming here. She really genuinely cares about the money, about her garden, and she wants to make sure that the wealth can multiply. And the only thing here is that she's not doing that. She's just very much, in this reversed state. I mean, she's very selfish, as indicated by this 9 of Cups, just, me, and trying to get as much refinement as possible, even to the point of some people want to reverse aging, get immortality. I'm not even talking about the plastic surgeries or all this other crazy stuff. And yeah, on the worker side, what is their material demand? Their material demand is the Empress. So just really getting a break, being cared for. This is someone who wants to be fertile, wants to take a break, wants to rest, needs some grace at the end of the day. She's someone who gives birth. She's fertile, and this is something that, I mean, we wonder in the West, or in actually most of the developed world, why are people not having kids? Well, I mean, what money are they going to have kids with? Clearly, if they're not able to have enough money to afford to live and raise a family, if they're not going to have enough money for more than one kid, then we wonder why is the population collapsing? So it's actually this Queen of Pentacles, which, if you think about it, a queen is in rank lower than an empress. So it's just this greedy, energy. She's just absolutely refusing to share the wealth and give the empress a break so that she can continue on and, be prosperous. I mean, it's as if these people have forgotten that their wealth is built on the prosperity of, the normal working class. I mean, it's not through magic that this happens. It's just so infuriating. I mean, yeah. And yeah, finally, the last card before I tie it together is about the frozen heart. This one, the frozen heart of the capitalist techno-feudal class versus the solidarity of the workers. I mean, this is one of the key achievements of the social democratic movements and this idea of uniting around the world. So here, the card we're gonna get here is the frozen heart is the 7 of Wands. So Oh man, like revolution wise, seems like, you know, with the Seven of Wands, this is someone on high ground trying to defend themselves. Like there's clearly these wands coming up. This is also reversed in the way it came out. There's a little drone here supporting this guy. Um, I mean, I can imagine that these people, like the techno-feudalists, like they understand that what they're doing is not really going to lead to good outcomes. Like they understand that this is really hurting people. They understand that, you know, at this rate, as you know, peaceful protests and reasonable uh, mediated ways to achieve balance are not possible. Like there's going to be more violent unrest, right? Like these are the six wands coming for this character with the Seven of Wands, but they're not going to give up. I mean, like they're just really down to keep protecting their higher ground. They're even going to use drones here or going to use technology. I mean, that seems like a key reason why you want to use AI. That's what I've seen, you know, when I looked at projects for me as a fractional CTO. Like people want drones, they want control AI, they want surveillance. That's sort of the general theme of that's what, you know, investors put money in. I mean, for security reasons, obviously. So yeah, this is what we have here. And yeah, contrasting that with the worker solidarity, here we have strength reversed. So I think this is really stay strong and don't give up. I think that really here the key is to tame themselves, to really like tame their animal nature. Like I think the workers in this case, like obviously, you know, the world these days is trying to make you addicted. It's trying to, you know, get you to lose focus, be dumber, lose attention, do all of these things. And with strength, the message here is what is actually necessary here is that for the solidarity, like people need to have better self-control. They need to really master their impulses, master this lion, and not let themselves be divided and be you know, manipulated in this way. So this has been the overall set of cards, and now just looking at them all, like I just have to say that out of these cards, first I'm quite interested and surprised actually to see that we have three queens over here. So that's just kind of strange. I'm not sure what to make of that. Like there's these two Nine of Cups and Seven of Wands, two men, so three women and two men. I mean, there's a lot to say, I guess, about the rise of some kind of just the gender relations are not really what they used to be, and that's not to say that women should be, you know, subservient to men or anything like that. But I just wonder, you know, like if there's some sort of false sense of female empowerment that's also playing a role here, or just like I don't know, some sort of weirdness. But we have Venus coming in here through three aspects of this, like, you know, constant fighting and judging through Gemini, through this like just needing more expansion and more attention, you know, in Sagittarius, as well as this perfection and needing for more resources, more material goods, more whatever in Virgo here. And then here, yeah, with the Seven of Wands, Nine of Cups, yeah, like just a lot of self-sufficiency, satisfaction, just, you know, not very much in the way of like, you know, I'm better than you and I'm going to defend that. So that's kind of the energy here. And on the outside, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say here, but the key thing is that there's three major arcana on the worker side with the Star, the Empress, and Strength. So these are very hopeful messages. I mean, what people want is nothing crazy. They just want a decent paycheck, a way to be able to live with the Empress. They need to really get more self-disciplined, maybe organize, and don't lose hope with this Star. These are the three things. This is a very symbolically important thing that you know, people need to just pull it together, because right now, yeah, this 11 of Pentacles, like with people, they don't have much to lose. I mean, that's the thing. Like this fire here of 11 of Pentacles could relate directly to the Seven of Wands here with the unhappiness, as you know, the tides are gonna come back on this. And yeah, here with the Knight of Cups, I mean, this is really it. I think maybe the one danger here is of just sort of going inwards and going your way without having the solidarity, without having the, you know, coming together and being able to organize in a way that can affect change. Like if everyone's just going to do their own thing independently, like yes, okay, maybe there's change because there's not enough people to use for the system, but you know, that's not quite the same thing as, okay, just reorganizing, reforming it in how it needs to be reformed. So yeah, this is the reading that I have for you for May 1st. And I'm actually just curious to see what is on the bottom of the deck for each of them. So on the side of the Technofeudalists, we have the Page of Wands. So this is them, you know, with this wand which represents motivation, willpower. This is them like trying to just master something. They don't quite, like, they think they have this whole thing in control and whatever, that they're in charge, that but like they're a little bit like kids who are balancing this. So I don't think that they're actually as in control as they would like to think or believe. So that's just something that maybe is worth considering. And on the I can't make this up. On the side of the workers, we have Temperance as the card at the bottom of the deck. So yet another major arcana, and this again suggests, okay, you know, what's so important here is to see things from multiple perspectives. I mean, like just getting divided by stupid differences. I mean, because your neighbor is whatever race, whatever sexuality, whatever, like if they're men, women, whatever religious reasons, like this is just not a reason to fight and to disagree with each other, because like there's so much more that you know the workers have in common than that. And what that needs is this realization of the multiple perspectives of Temperance. Like, you know, as the angel of Temperance pours water from cup to cup, that actually is about this whole notion that, you know, we need to really understand each other at an emotional level as well, to be able to have good relationships with one another. So yeah, I think it's a challenging time, but I think that the archetypal energies, if you will, of the workers are, you know, coming up. I think there's a lot more energy here than on the Technofeudalist side, given that, you know, we have 4 major arcana out of these 6 cards and none on the Technofeudalist side. So I think overall it's a really hopeful message. And yeah, I hope that people can really stand in solidarity for a better situation, that we can stop this nonsense that has been going on for far too long now, where economic value and money has just been so detached from real, actual goods and services that you know, add value, where people really benefit from that. And I really hope that we start seeing the tides turning here. And yeah, with that, thank you for your attention and wish you a lovely May 1st. And yeah, stay safe and get together. All the best.